We're sitting in Mexicana Andrea in West Des Moines, right on the border near Urbandale. Here with a couple of steelworkers that traveled far to get here. How far did you guys?
We came from Pittsburgh. It's about a 14-hour drive, probably over 700 some miles.
What inspired you to come here?
We wanted to help our union. We all took vacation time. We all gave up a holiday. Obviously, it's New Year's Eve. We're all heading back on the 4th. Hopefully we got a victory under our belts. A lot of activity in the union.
What candidate are you supporting?
We're supporting John Edwards.
Why?
We've been his economic policies, his respect for unions, social justice, a real grasp of our issues. Background he came from, working class background. Heard the story that his family actually had to borrow money to bring him home from the hospital when he was born. So I mean, this is a guy. His roots are pretty deep.
Now you are not a union worker yourself, but you come from a union family.
Yes, I come from a union family. I'm a steelworker kid, made in America. I support the union as an intern. I guess I am a union worker. This is something, it helps my education, it helps my future. Everything I've learned here is invaluable.
You're making a lot of friends?
Making tons of friends. It's my buddies.
Are you, and you're a political science major?
Political science major in communications. And
where?
hopefully at Caucus University, which is in Pittsburgh. And hopefully when I get out of college, I'll be able to help these guys organize more states for candidates who will help us and support our cause and ensure that we have a better future.
All right. And how about yourself? You're also a union worker?
Yeah, I came out of a plant originally in Cannonsburg, PA, where unfortunately about 10 years after I was a computer-aided drafter there, and due to imports from other countries, our plant basically went under. We used to make fire transformers, so through that, once the plant shut down, and unfortunately the plant shut down right when I was just starting to have a family about 15 years ago. So I know what it is in order to you lose your job, and I went through the process of, fortunately the TRA program was in place where I could go back to school, and the government would pay for it, so I went for 2 years and retrained myself. I had to switch gears and go from drafting, I went into computers and accounting, and that's what I do for the steelworkers right now. And this country, the people in this country just got to realize what we're going through right now. A lot of these trade agreements that have been agreed to by a couple of the presidents, I just don't think, you might recall that Ross Perot had said that there was going to be a giant sucking sound if those agreements would go through.
You're speaking of NAFTA?
Yes, I am, and I mean, you just look and see what has happened since then. And NAFTA, CAFTA, we got Peru, there's all those, any trade agreement, they say it's fair trade. But if you look and see what's been going on, it's not fair trade.
Is Edwards against NAFTA and against global?
Basically, his stance is he doesn't like any of the trades that have been made the way they are. Now he may be for, is more, you'd have to look at it close to see what's agreed to. But it would be good. But overall, I don't believe he thinks that any trades.
I was listening to, and of course this kind of, Ron Paul is a kind of an anti-union guy, but at the same time he's against NAFTA, closing the borders, these types of things.
Well, I don't think you want to go that far. It is to close the border. We're a free society, but the thing is, you can't make society be regimented by laws and trade agreements that are imposed that aren't fair for everyone concerned. Look at China, what's going on in China. Basically, last I checked, that was a communist country. Okay, we're dealing a lot with China. I was in South Charleston, South Carolina a couple of years ago with my kids on a vacation. There's a museum there. I'm sitting there looking out the window of the museum. There's a big tanker that has China on it. So, I mean, they're bringing stuff in left and right over here. And you have the toxic toys, everything with the paint that's coming over. And I heard stories before I left. I haven't watched a lot of TV here, but I checked out what's going on with the Caucus. But you know, the toxic toys, some of those toys that have been proven to be toxic, they're still on the shelves of a lot of the stores. To me, the big problem is CEOs in this country make a little bit too much money. I mean, in this country, you got to spread it out. You got people that work in unions. You know, your contract comes up, they want you to take concessions for your pensions. You know, they want you to cut back in health care. You know, it's cut, cut, cut. It's like, wait a minute, CEO, what cuts do they make? And it's whether their company makes a profit or not, they have a contract in place. They get that money. It's not based on performance. So some of these corporate rules should change in favor of everyone that works for that particular corporation.
One last question here for you. What's the most important thing, attribute, or characteristic of our president?
Of George Bush or a president?
Our next president.
Our next president. He should be able to relate to Americans, help the working class, because as we stand right now, there is no upper middle class, there's no middle class, we're all working class, we can work to get by, and I think they need to have a direct connection with them, with their future, with securing a future for working class Americans.
Okay, I lied. I have one more question.
Okay.
Can you say one nice thing about George Bush?
Do I have to?
I can't think of anything, huh? All right.